Hi everyone, so I have some recent purchases to share with you today. Some of it came from the Sephora VIB sale, some of it's from Walgreens, and yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. So I'll do the VIB sale stuff first. One of the things I bought was this Benefit Boi-ing erase case, which has a bunch of little minis of their concealers. And isn't this case the cutest thing you've ever seen? Oh my goodness. And I had always wanted to try the hydrating concealer. I've had times where my under eyes have been insanely dry. So I thought I'd give that a try. I wanted to try the formerly known as Erase Paste Boi-ing Brightening Concealer in shade number 1 again. I have purchased this 2 times in the past maybe, and I think in the past I used too much and that's why I had difficulties with it. My under eye skin is always changing, so I thought I'd give this try again today. And I do have this on underneath my NARS Creamy Concealer in Chantilly today. I feel like my under eyes are not really matching up with the rest of my face, especially today. I don't know, the freckles under there are just like really pigmented at the moment, so having some struggles. It also comes with a little tiny industrial strength concealer and also the airbrush concealer, and these are all in shade 1. They only have 2 shades to choose from in this little set. So let's see if I can show you here. This one up here is the hydrating concealer, and the next one down is the airbrush concealer, which is a little more sheer. It seemed to be a little bit lighter. The third is the industrial strength, which is a little bit darker, and the last is the brightening concealer shade, the formerly known as Erase Paste shade. So I tried to use the hydrating concealer and I had other things on, and I don't think I've ever had my under eye concealer break down as badly as this. I think I got too much of the balm part because it's kind of like a little, well, they give you a decent sized sample here. It's like a little balmy stick, and then there's the concealer on the inside. I think I got too much of the balm and not enough of the concealer, trying to like swipe it on underneath my eyes. It was bad. Like my concealer just completely migrated from this whole area up here. It was shocking how bad it was. So I'm definitely going to need to try that out. The 2 other concealers, the airbrush and the industrial strength, they're pretty dark. I'll have to, maybe I could wear them on days where I'm not wearing like foundation, because then my face is quite a bit darker, so I can get away with darker concealer shades a lot more easily in that scenario. And yeah, I'm still not sure. I feel like the Erase Paste Brightening Concealer I think I might be able to use it with a very light hand. So I'm going to keep playing with that. I realized eventually that the reason I always had problems with the Bobbi Brown corrector is that it was seriously drying out my under eyes. So while it feels very creamy, for whatever reason, it just really dries out my under eye area. So that's why I wanted to try the Erase Paste again. It's like, you know, now that I know, maybe I can have more success with it. I also got this set of Laura Mercier powders. It came in this little trio. So this is the Secret Brightening Powder, which I had been wanting to try. I don't think I've ever tried this one. So I really wanted to give this a try because I've been having all these under eye concealer dramas. And I've been needing to moisturize more, which means I need to set with something, but I was having a lot of trouble setting with any powders without it looking really dry. It also came with the loose setting powder in translucent, and then it also came with the mineral illuminating powder in Candlelight. So this one I had seen someone use that has like a medium skin tone, and it was so pretty, and I knew that it was going to be dark, but I've been really into like loose highlighting powders, and I had wanted to try it for quite some time. So it is dark. I can wear it on my cheeks, kind of like, as long as I don't get too high up on my cheeks. Can you hear the baby crying back there? Not sure if that's because the 2-year-old woke him up. So it's kind of like a goldeny, apricot-y color. Really, really pretty. If you have a darker skin tone, I would think it would be gorgeous. So I can wear it like over my cheeks. Kind of, if I stay up here and don't get too high up, I think it looks nice. Everybody's freaking out. All right, we're gonna try this again. I had to get the baby up and feed him and put him back down. The last thing that I purchased was from the VIP sale is this Ciate blush. And this is something that Taylor on YouTube has talked about quite a few times, and it's in the shade Summer Love. The only issue I have is that I have so much of the highlight kind of shade and not a lot of the blush shade that I feel like when you mix everything together, it's more like a highlight than a blush. So I think I'm going to, yeah, because when I blend that out on my hand, you can't really see anything except for like the sheen. So anyway, I'm wearing a sweater and I think it's a little bit warmer than what I need. So my right cheek, it can flush really, really dark red. And since I don't wear like full coverage concealer or full coverage foundation, this side can be looking super, super pink with blush on top of it. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more. I tried to focus more on the blush part as opposed to the highlight part. Yeah. So that's my only complaint so far with this, is that it feels like there's a little bit too much highlight and not enough blush. I picked up a couple things from Walgreens. If you watch the Taylor, she is a huge fan of this foundation. It's the CYO Lifeproof Long Lasting Foundation, and this is the shade 101. As I recall, she has 101 and 102. Sometimes she mixes them, sometimes she wears this by itself. She is a big fan of the finish on this, kind of a more dewy, plumping, smoothing type finish. And this is definitely quite a bit too dark for me, and I've tried to mix it with other white foundations mixers that I have, but it's just, I've needed a lot, and then I kind of lose the magical finish of this. So if you were more like NC15, I think this could probably be a reasonable match. It's a nice beigey tone. So it's not, I feel like it doesn't match my undertone in particular, because I have more of that cool yellow undertone, but I feel like it's not too pink, it's not too peach, it's just really a nice beige. So if that's a color that appeals to you, I do have some swatches that I can insert here. Idun Minerals Nordic Veil in Jorunn, Maybelline Superstay in 102 Fair Porcelain, CYO Lifeproof in 101, Cover Effects Power Play in N0, Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte in 100. That show this compared with a variety of other foundations. And it's only like $7. So what I did was ship to store with Walgreens so that I wouldn't have to make like a $35 purchase. So you can do ship to store for free without like a minimum purchase, as opposed to, well, maybe there is a minimum, but it's lower than shipping to your home or shipping to an address. I don't recall, but I only paid like $17 because I had like a $10 reward to use. And I also picked up two more things. One of them is this sleek kit. It was $30 and it's been on clearance for $15 for quite some time now. It's the Bring on the Night kit, and I've been wanting to try their eyeshadow palettes for forever, because, you know, the sleek eyeshadow palettes have been talked about on YouTube for so long, and now they're becoming a lot more accessible. But I mean, I can't even, like 5, 6, 7 years that, you know, people have been talking about them, and I've been interested in trying, but I've never, you know, went ahead and bought one. So I was excited about that. There's also the Solstice highlighting palette, which people have been very excited about. And it also has a blush palette. And the blush palette was what I was least interested in because I have some difficulty wearing blushes. Like lately I've really been interested in trying to find a good peach, like a solid peach blush, and just not had a lot of luck with it. I do want to say that, so $15 is a really good price. The Solstice palette by itself, I think is like $12 or $13. So if you're interested in this and you have any desire to use either the blush palette or the eyeshadow palette, I would definitely suggest doing that. So this is the blush palette. It's in Take a Cheeky Peek. So this is going to be kind of a challenging set of colors, I think, for most people to wear. But like this color is a really pretty eyeshadow color. It's kind of similar to that Smashbox primer I have on right now. I think these two I could wear definitely without a problem. It's this middle one that's really going to be tricky because it's so dark for me. Even with a light hand, those kind of shades are just really challenging for me to wear without it being like way too much, because I don't like a lot of blush personally. So I want like a hint of color to be there so I don't look so washed out, which I kind of look washed out right now. In fact, maybe since we've got this whole like yellow color scheme going on, maybe I'll try that. So yeah, we'll try. We'll see how this looks. I feel like it's a color with my undertones is something that I could conceivably wear. If you have cooler undertones, I'm not sure how that would look. I think it might look a little strange. I think in general all these colors might not work so great for a cooler undertone. But I don't know. I'm not a makeup expert by any means. So I feel like the only problem with this is that like I have this yellow discoloration up here from sun damage most likely. And that this can kind of venture into that same kind of color tone. I don't know. I think it's fun. I've enjoyed trying to play around with that colors. It's just so different. And then the Solstice palette, these I feel like swatch on your hand not very great. Like some of them just look like straight up eyeshadows, but these two colors are really intense and very, very, very shiny, and it's very easy to go overboard. So just FYI. I mean, people have talked about these things, but you know. And then the last thing, I haven't used this on my eyes yet, except for I used one color just kind of adding to a look that I already had done in the day. And so I feel like on the box it looks really dark, but so there are definitely quite a few dark shades in this, but it's not completely like super, super smoky. You could only get smoky eyes out of it. I used this color and it worked so nicely. The only color that really seems to be a little bit of a dud is this kind of plum with a little sparkle in it. A variety of shades are not matte, but they're kind of like a matte with sparkle, so they effectively work as a matte. But yeah, I'm interested to keep trying this. I feel like I don't have a lot of purples that I enjoy using in my eyeshadow collection, so I've been kind of in the mood to experiment more with purples. And yeah, that kind of pinky purple shade in that palette really worked very well the one time I used it. The last thing I got from Walgreens is these cotton pads. And if you watch my last empties, I talked about the Ulta cotton squares that are lint free. And this seemed like it was going to be the same thing, and it is. So it's the Swisspers Premium Cotton Pillows. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, these kind of cotton pads, what I would look for is that it's lint free. That seems to be the keyword to getting this style cotton pad. So it's like fully encased in this outer thing, so it's like an envelope. So if you open it up, there's like fuzzy cotton inside, but on the outside is this like lint-free container, which I love for using around my eyes, and I don't end up with fuzzies caught up in my eyelashes, because anytime I use a cotton pad that has any sort of fuzzy bits, I always get some like tangled in my lashes that I don't notice, and then it like gets stuck to my eyeball, and it's so hard to get out because it's actually wrapped around my lashes. Silly, but it's really obnoxious. And also it's good for taking off nail polish, because it doesn't get all glopped up, fuzzy, stuck to your nail polish. So I really appreciate that. And also they're just really durable, so you can really take off a full face of makeup almost with one of those little squares because you can like flip it over, you can use every little surface, and it doesn't break down as quickly, I've found, as just like a traditional cotton round. So I'm a big fan of those. I feel like they're a little bit softer even than the Shiseido facial cotton. I did go through a package of those, and it really was not the type of cotton pad that I like, and my face is very sensitive to rubbing stuff on it. It gets really like uncomfortable for me pretty quickly, and these I feel like are the softest things for my face, and they don't have the fuzziness, so big win for me there. Last couple things that I wanted to talk about. I did pick up a few more foundations because I just can't help it. And one of them I bought from I think it's a Swedish company, and it's, let me turn the cap around. Idun Minerals, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. And it's the Nordic Veil, and this is in Jorunn. So there's definitely among the like pale faced, fair skin community, this is known to be one of the really light shades, and it's a little bit more neutral than some of the other offerings in the extremely light category. I will also include swatches of this along with some other foundations, and so far I've just had difficulty wearing this formula. It just doesn't sit on my skin that great. Like I said, my skin is a pain in the butt to work with. A lot of things settle into my pores. I've got some dermatitis that can really get aggravated by different products and start peeling. And I have some pretty distinct like oily areas and then very dry areas. And those very dry areas are also around where I have lines and more noticeable pores. So things can start looking like very aging and heavy and cakey. And yeah, so far I haven't really found a way to wear this where I feel like it sits nicely on my skin. I feel like I always have too much. It always feels a little heavy. The color is very pretty, and I like the shade definitely, but I don't know that this formula really is so great for me. So it's not too terribly expensive. If you're within the US, you can get it for $28, I believe, with free shipping. So that's a pretty good deal. You know, that's on the lower end of kind of the high-end foundation prices. Another foundation I picked up, I bought this from the Cover FX website, and it's the new Power Play foundation. It's their first, I don't know if it's first ever, but they don't have any real matte formulas available until they came out with this, and this shade is N0. I also have the Natural Finish foundation in N0, and this is a little bit warmer, so the undertone actually is a little bit better on this one because it helps kind of cancel out my redness, and it matches up with my neck and chest a lot better. The lightness on this is very nice. This just feels like a little bit more of a modern formula. I have difficulty with the Natural Finish foundation, sometimes looking kind of cakey and heavy, kind of like the Nordic Veil. Just similar issues where it just doesn't look, I want like a really light, thin layer that gives me a decent amount of coverage and that dries down and doesn't feel kind of tacky throughout the day, because I have difficulty wearing powder because a lot of my skin is dry. So I mean, seriously. But this, I feel like, is a nice, more modern formula. I really appreciate Squeezy Tube is my absolute favorite way for a foundation to be delivered. This dries down nicely. And it's actually more than 1 ounce, which is surprising. It's 1.18 fluid ounces. It seems very small. So as long as I moisturize really well, this seems to sit okay, though I've only worn it a few times, so I need to keep wearing it and kind of really get in my mind how it wears on my face, and I'll probably do a review and demo for it at some point. And again, I have also included the swatches, so you can compare the different undertones and whatnot and how light things are. So since I bought that on the Cover FX website, they had 25% off. They were doing their friends and family sale. And I also got a gift with purchase when I purchased that, and it ended up being full size. I didn't realize this was going to be full size, and it's the Cover FX Clear Cover Invisible Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 30. And so this is a lot like the Murad Clear Sun SPF primer situation. And at first I'm like, oh no. You know, I have difficulties wearing that one all over my face because it just feels like kind of heavy and weird. But this actually kind of breaks down to a more thinner consistency. And so as you spread it, it doesn't feel like it's that really thick, heavy kind of Smashbox photo finish silicone feeling. So it does leave a little bit of that kind of silky feel, but it's so much less than something like the Murad. So in case you were curious about that, I've only used it under makeup with a full face once, and I think I was trying a new foundation at the time too, so I really don't know how I feel about that one yet, but at least just like first impression on how it feels, I definitely prefer it to the Murad, in case you were thinking about buying one of those two. Hopefully that's helpful. This has been really long. Really, really long. Hopefully I can shorten it down. And let me know if you have any questions about what I picked up. And if you plan to purchase anything in the Sephora or Ulta, I think, no, Ulta sale's ending today. They had a 20% off for Platinum members. That's ending today. So yeah, if you picked anything up in the Sephora sale, if you plan to pick anything up, or yeah, those are the two options. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. And like I said, if you have any questions about what I talked about, please let me know. And if you want to see a review or a demo or anything like that about any of these products, please let me know, because those tend to be a little bit shorter videos, so I'm still looking for ideas that I don't end up talking for 45 minutes. We'll see how it goes. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.